Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the CrossFit Games Update Show. I'm Sean Woodland with Pat Sherwood and being joined by two-time Games competitor and original Nasty Girl, Annie Sakamoto. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to break down the California Regional today, and here is what is going to take place on May 13th in Del Mar, California. It is the California Regional featuring NorCal taking on SoCal. You can watch everything live on games.crossfit.com, and tickets are still available for that event in Del Mar. And I think the thing about the California Regional to me, whether it be the old days where it was just NorCal and SoCal, you can change the names, but this is still one of the most competitive regionals out there.
Regionals, period, are kind of my favorite time of year, almost more so than the games, because everyone's fighting so hard to get to the games. And historically, I felt the best competition was the Central East men's competition. Incredible, still great, but I almost feel like California women's side of the house these days, you can't touch it.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because having participated in the California Regional and even just the Northern California region, I feel like that.
Yeah.
I've been there, I've done that, and I'm glad to be validated.
Absolutely.
For feeling that way.
A lot of good stories to watch in the California Regional, but the big ones we're going to be talking about today on the women's side. Becca Voigt is going for her 9th appearance at the CrossFit Games. Over with the men, Josh Bridges did not make it to the games last year. He's trying to get back to the games in 2016. And finally, on the team side of things, NorCal CrossFit, the team that dominated this regional last year, is not back. So a power vacuum now at the top of the California Regional on the team competition. But let's start with Becca Voigt, a name everybody knows, going for the games for the 9th time. That would be a record. Why can she do it again this year?
You know what's funny about Becca Voigt? Okay, 8 times at the games. We're only in our 10th year. So even if she doesn't make it, she's been there 8 out of 10 times. But it's not like her career is full of this highlight reel material. She's just darn good at everything, which in CrossFit puts you at the games. So yeah, I think she can do it again.
I see Becca Voigt as a real salt of the earth kind of CrossFitter. I don't see her winning any of the events necessarily at this regional, but I see her not losing, not being outside of the top 10 on any of the events. I don't see her having any trouble.
Yeah, we have regional seeds this year, and basically what we did is we took all the open scores with California and Northern California, and we ranked them as if they were the only 2 regions in the whole world. And here's how the rankings stack up. Chelsea Grigsby comes in as the top seed by just 3 points over Lauren Fisher. Kirsten Pedry's in third, followed by China Cho and Christina Ndali. And it's close in those top 5, just 13 points separate first from 5th. Brooke Entz, who's the defending champion, is the 6th seed, and Becca Voigt is in 8th place. Now, this is just based on open finishes, and the regionals, of course, are a whole different ball of wax. You can make a legitimate case for every woman that we just showed there as to why they can make it to the games. But, Pat, who do you think the favorites are?
Man, well, the people that everybody should be watching, without a doubt, Brooke Entz. I mean, she won the regional last year, made her way to the games, and as a rookie took 14th place. That is 100% legitimate. China Cho had her best finish ever at the games last year, then went on to be a member of the invitational team because she did so well. She has to be in the conversation. Chelsea Grigsby just narrowly missed last year. She took 6th place, only the top 5 go. But she was the leader in SoCal in the Open, so she's looking absolutely ferocious. Let's go down the list to Becca Voigt, who we mentioned earlier, going for her 9th straight time at the games. On top of being fit, she's just unflappable. Her calmness under pressure is insane. She can do it. Lauren Fisher has been to the games once as an individual. Last year didn't have a great showing at regionals because she tweaked her ankle and took 12th. And then finally, Alessandra Pacelli. This is a girl that every year, I almost feel like I count her out, but then she performs every year. She's been to the games 3 times. Won't be shocked if she makes it 4th. And if that was moving fast for you, that was actually 6.
I was trying to keep up,
names instead of 5. But the point being, the women's competition in California, the names go on and on and on as who could go.
And Annie, you've competed against these women, and you know how talented they all are. And Pat just mentioned the names that really come to the forefront when you think about this regional. But there are others out there that maybe people may not know who have just as good a chance.
Right. So 2 that come to mind: Christine Andali and Keston Mendoza. They're training partners at CrossFit Dogtown, so they're working under Dusty Highland. And considering some of the more skilled gymnastics movements on this regional, I think they stand a good chance. Also, Molly Vollmer and Colleen Foch. With the heavy weights, at this regional, I think both those girls stand a really good chance to have a good showing.
Yeah, women's competition is going to be a blast to watch. Over on the men's side, here are the seedings coming in, again, based on open finish, as if the NorCal and Southern California regions were the only two regions in the open, and it's Josh Bridges by 12 points, the top seed over Rasmus Weisbeck-Anderson, 38 points separating first from fifth. Dan Bailey is sixth, but we all know what he is capable at the regional level. Marcus Philly is the highest ranked Northern California athlete, but Josh Bridges will have just about everybody watching him here because of what happened last year, and we all know what he can do in long workouts and lightweight. He's got the motor, but there is some loading here that has given him trouble in the past. Why is this year going to be different, and why does he wind up in Carson?
He's hungry for it. He wants to go back to the games. He wants to be there. So while I don't think the snatch ladder is going to be his best event, I don't see him having trouble with that 405 deadlift. I think
agree.
He's got that fixed. He's got that figured out. Little heavier weight, a little higher skill gymnastics, and that hunger, he's going.
Bridges is always going to be in the conversation, regardless of
Absolutely.
what happens in the open. Dan Bailey's always going to be there. Kenny Leverage is going to be there as well. Same thing that we did with the women. Who are some of the names who have just as good a shot, but maybe we don't know as well?
Right. Again, there's a bunch. There's not just a women's competition out there in California. The men are as legit as anybody. Rasmus Anderson, he needs to be talked about. Last year, he took 8th at regionals, just barely missed out. He's gone on team before, so he's got a good deal of experience. He's a young kid. He's better every year. Then Garrett Fisher. You guys remember that name, right?
Yeah.
Exploded onto the scene as a rookie all the way back in 2013, took 5th place at the games, but then we missed him for a couple of years. Currently under the tutelage of Jedi Master Chris Spieler, I think he looks the best he's ever been this year. He could be back in Carson. And then finally, Marcus Philly.
Yeah.
Been to the games twice as an individual. He took last year off. Not a flashy athlete, but I struggle to think of something that he can't do. So he could be one of those guys that just quietly moves up the leaderboard.
One of the most dominant performances that we saw last year at the California Regional was on the team side of the competition, and it came courtesy of NorCal CrossFit. They ran away with the California Regional, but they're not back this year. A familiar name is returning in CrossFit Invictus, but their roster now looks completely different than it did in the past. Without NorCal CrossFit in the picture, it looks like Invictus is now the team to beat, but how do we expect them to perform with so many new members on their team?
Invictus is just one of those affiliates that continually produces a very strong team at the games. They've been in the top 5 a number of times. They won the whole thing. They were the best team in the world back in 2014. They're shaken up a bit now, so they've lost all their men that we associated with the 2014 and 2015 games team. But the new guys they've brought in, they look fit, they look great, they're well coached. And then, what a strong addition. They have Maddie Myers, who went to the games last year as an individual. She's now a member of the team, which breaks my heart. I wanted to see her throw down as an individual, but what a strong addition. So I think Invictus will be just fine.
And there are plenty of teams in the California Regional who have a chance of getting to Carson. Who do you see as the favorites to join Invictus
The
possibly?
two that definitely jump out to me are CrossFit Añejo, Diablo Añejo. They're a perennial games team. They have a lot of strong individuals. I don't see them not making it. And then, of course, CrossFit 808. I see the regionals, the team competition being so much about strong ladies, how deep your female competition goes. They've got Brandy Richardson, Kyla Evers, and of course Elise Umeda. I can't see them not making it. They're all about team.
Some of the girls in 808 are so strong.
I think that a lot of them would possibly make it as individuals. So you put the 3 of them on the team, they eat, breathe, sleep competition. I'd be real surprised if they don't make it.
There will be no shortage of excitement in the men, women, or team competition in the California Regional. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Again, it gets started May 13th, 9 a.m. Pacific time. You watch it all live on games.crossfit.com. And if you're in Southern California, near the Del Mar area, and you want to go, tickets are still available. Pick those up on the game site as well. For Annie Sakamoto and Pat Sherwood, I'm Sean Woodland. Regionals right around the corner.